الهاشمية على الهادي وعجرة الهاشمية نصلي على النبي صبح ومسية نصلي على النبي صبح ومسية.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, in the past episodes we have been discussing more in depth the Islamic view of youth. We discussed two narrations that gave us some sort of insight on how Islam views youth. We discussed how it describes it as a neglected blessing that most youth don't understand the value of until they have reached old age. And we discussed how it is a stage that Allah will emphasize on the Day of Judgment, which shows how important this stage is and how important what we spend this stage on is. Then we began discussing how multiple times throughout Islamic history, Islam and the Ahlulbayt have given very important roles to youth, which further proves how much value the religion of Islam places on capable youth. We discussed Mus'ab ibn Umair and Atab ibn Usayd, who are both youth figures who helped the Prophet and aided him in establishing and spreading the religion of Islam. Then we discussed the youth of Karbala who stood alongside Imam Hussein alayhi salam, youth like Ali al-Akbar, Qasim, Wahab, Amr ibn Janad al-Ansari. These youth figures stood alongside Imam Hussein alayhi salam to preserve the religion of Islam. We discussed how youth played very important roles in both stages of Islamic history, the stage of establishing with the Holy Prophet and the stage of preserving with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Inshallah, today we will present even another example of Islam entrusting a very important role with youth. The next example that we provide is Hisham ibn al-Hakam radwanullah ta'ala alayh. Hisham ibn al-Hakam is yet another example of youth being empowered by the Ahlul Bayt and Islam and given a very high status and important role within establishing and preserving the religion of Islam. Let's list some points from the life of Hisham ibn al-Hakam that show this man's greatness and the level of knowledge and wisdom and the status this man has reached. First, we say that Hisham ibn al-Hakam radwanullah ta'ala alayh was a companion of Imam al-Sadiq and Imam al-Kadhim alayhim salam. He has written tens of books. Some have counted up to 80 books written by Hisham ibn al-Hakam. He has narrated many ahadith from the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. But the most famous feat and characteristic of Hisham ibn al-Hakam was that he was a debater. Arguably, the most famous debater in the time of Ahlul Bayt is Hisham ibn al-Hakam. You think of a debater in the time of Ahlul Bayt, the first person that comes to mind is Hisham ibn al-Hakam. Open any compilation of hadith, whether that is Kafi, Bihar al-Anwar, Tawheed al-Saduq. Open any compilation of a hadith and turn to the chapters of Tawheed and Imamah, and you will 100% stumble upon one of the arguments and debates of Hisham ibn al-Hakam. This is the status this man has reached. Now let's look at how different imams and scholars have described Hisham ibn al-Hakam. This will help us better understand the status this man has reached. Ibn Shahrashub in Ma'alim al-Ulama says Abu Muhammad Hisham ibn al-Hakam al-Shaybani. This is Hisham ibn al-Hakam's full name, Abu Muhammad Hisham ibn al-Hakam al-Shaybani. Kufi tahawwala ila Baghdad. He is a Kufan man, lived in Kufa, then moved into Baghdad. وَلَقِيَ الصَّادِقْ وَالْكَاظِمِ. He was among the companions of Imam al-Sadiq and Imam al-Kadhim alayhim salam. Then he begins describing Hisham ibn al-Hakam. وَكَانَ مِمَّنْ فَتَقَ الْكَلَامِ فِي الْإِمَامَةِ. He was one of those who elaborated on the concept of Imamah. وَهَذَّبَ الْمَذْهَبْ بِالنَّظَرِ. He refined the doctrine of Shi'ism with rational thought. وَرَفَعَهُ الصَّادِقْ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ فِي الشُّيُوخِ وَهُوَ غُلَامٌ. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam elevated him among the elders even when he was still a young man. Inshallah, we will bring multiple examples of Imam al-Sadiq, for example. He's sitting in a gathering, all the elders are sitting. Once Hisham ibn al-Hakam enters the gathering, the Imam stands up. Look at how much respect he shows this young man. When this young man enters, Imam al-Sadiq would stand up. He would open space for Hisham ibn al-Hakam, telling the elders to move aside and have the young Hisham ibn al-Hakam sit right next to the Imam. This is the status this man reached. Then within this segment, Ibn Shahrashub begins stating some of the descriptions that the Imams have given Hisham ibn al-Hakam. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam describes him as هَذَا نَاصُرَنَا بِقَلْبِهِ وَلِسَانِهِ وَيَدِهِ. He is our supporter with his heart, his tongue and his hand. The Imam has also said, هشام ibn al-Hakam رائد حقنا وسائق قولنا المؤيد لصدقنا والدافع لباطل أعدائنا من تبعه وتبع أثره تبعنا ومن خالفه وألحد فيه فقد عادانا وألحد فينا. The Holy Imam described Hisham ibn al-Hakam as the leader of our truth. He spreads our words. He affirmed our truths. He repelled the falsehood of our enemies. Whoever follows him and walks in his footsteps follows us, and whoever opposes him and deviates in his beliefs has opposed us and deviated from the truth. Look at the status Hisham ibn al-Hakam has reached, where whoever follows Hisham ibn al-Hakam follows the Ahlulbayt. Whoever deviates from Hisham ibn al-Hakam deviates from the Ahlulbayt. Look at the status Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam is giving this young man. This is the segment Ibn Shahrashub has stated for Hisham ibn al-Hakam and his characteristics. Shaykh al-Mufid and Shaykh al-Tusi also have words like these praising Hisham ibn al-Hakam, praising his knowledge, praising what he did for our religion, what he did and the impact he had on Shi'ism. In another hadith, Imam Rada alayhi salam says, may Allah have mercy on him, on Hisham ibn al-Hakam. He was a sincere servant and he was harmed by his companions out of jealousy towards him. Look at the level of knowledge Hisham ibn al-Hakam has reached, where other companions would harm Hisham ibn al-Hakam because of jealousy. They were jealous from the amount of knowledge this young man had. Another point that shows the greatness of Hisham ibn al-Hakam is that the leaders, the oppressive leaders of the time, the oppressive caliphs, feared Hisham ibn al-Hakam and his knowledge and the effect that he had on people. He was so knowledgeable and so good at debating and so good at convincing people that the path of Ahlul Bayt is the truth, that the oppressive caliphs of the time feared him. In the gathering and majlis of Yahya ibn Khalid al-Barmaki, there was a debate between Hisham ibn al-Hakam and an opposition regarding imamah. When Hisham won, al-Rashid, the caliph of the time, was listening to the debate. When Hisham ibn al-Hakam won, al-Rashid, the caliph of the time, said, لسان هشام أوقع في نفوس الناس من ألف سيف. The tongue of Hisham has more impact on the hearts of people than 1,000 swords. Again, look at the status and the amount of knowledge and how good at debating this young man was, that this was the impact he had on the hearts of the people. The caliphs of the time, the oppressive and wrongful caliphs of the time, feared Hisham ibn al-Hakam and his knowledge and his debating skills. Look at the fear this man instilled in their hearts. Now, how old was Hisham ibn al-Hakam? The greatest debater, or one of the greatest debaters from the time of Ahlul Bayt, when he began debating. We have multiple ahadith that state Hisham ibn al-Hakam was ordered by the imams to debate, and he debated before or during the first strands of facial hair began to grow. So he was in his mid or late teens. This man was a teenager when he was entrusted with the responsibility of debating. And he was a teenager when he had this great impact on the religion of Islam and its history. Now, debating is a very important and critical role. Most people, 90% of people, are not fit to debate. You have to have an immense amount of knowledge regarding a subject so that if any question arises, you are ready to answer. You have to know the etiquettes of debating, how to debate, what tone to use, how to build an argument. These are all things a man must possess to be able to debate. So what level has this teenager reached where the imams themselves order Hisham ibn al-Hakam to debate? Look at the level of knowledge this man has reached, this teenager has reached. Now let's dissect the topic of debate a little bit more in depth, since I believe, one, it will help the youth and be beneficial to the youth, and it relates to our topic and shows us the greatness of Hisham ibn al-Hakam. Now this discussion regarding debate and debating as a whole and the jurisprudential rulings regarding debate is stated in depth in the book Tasheeh al-I'tiqadat by Shaykh al-Mufid radwanallah ta'ala alayh. For anyone that wants a bit more in-depth research regarding this topic, they can refer back to this book for more details. The discussion mentioned goes as follows. When it comes to debating and the jurisprudential standing of the Ahlul Bayt regarding debate, we have two groups of ahadith that at first glance may seem contradicting. So let us read some of these narrations on both sides and then understand how we can reconcile these two groups of narrations and then the takeaways that we can take from this reconciliation. First, let's read the ahadith. The first group of ahadith regarding debate are ahadith that condemn debating. The first example is قال أبو جعفر عليه السلام يا زياد إياك والخصومات فإنها تورث الشك وتحبط العمل وتردي صاحبها وعسى أن يتكلم بالشيء فلا يغفر له. قال أبو جعفر, O Ziyad, be aware of disputes, for they breed doubt, nullify good deeds, and lead their possessor to ruin. And perhaps a person may speak of something and it will not be forgiven for him. This hadith blatantly condemns debating and tells us not to debate. Another hadith, قال Imam Ali عليه السلام إياكم والجدال فإنه يورث الشك. Imam Ali عليه السلام says, beware of arguments and debates, for they breed doubt. Another hadith from Imam Ali عليه السلام which condemns debating, الجدال في الدين يفسد اليقين. Debate in religion corrupts certainty. So these hadith are clearly condemning debate. We as Shia should not debate. This is what the first group of narrations say. However, at first glance, this group of ahadith contradicts history and a second group of narrations regarding debate. We have narrations where the Ahlulbayt order us to debate. We have historical instances where the Ahlulbayt themselves debate, where they themselves order specific people to debate. For example, one of the ahadith that orders us Shias to debate, قال موسى بن جعفر عليه السلام لمحمد بن الحكيم كلم الناس وبين لهم الحق الذي أنت عليه وبين لهم الضلالة التي هم عليها. Musa ibn Ja'far says to Muhammad ibn Hakim, speak to the people, debate them, and clarify to them the truth that you follow, and make clear to them the misguidance they are upon. The Imam here is ordering us Shia to have religious dialogue, to debate non-Shias and non-Muslims regarding our faith. Again, at first glance, this hadith contradicts the first group of ahadith we mentioned. Another hadith, قال الصادق عليه السلام بينوا للناس الهدى الذي أنتم عليه وبينوا لهم ضلالهم الذي هم عليه وباهلوهم في علي بن أبي طالب عليه السلام. Imam al-Sadiq says, clarify to the people the guidance that you follow and make clear to them the misguidance they are upon, and challenge them regarding Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. I mean, what a beautiful narration. We must spread the greatness of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam al-Sadiq says, challenge them, challenge the non-Shia when it comes to Imam Ali alayhi salam. Whose job is it to challenge the non-Shia? Whose job is it to spread this holy personality, the personality of Imam Ali alayhi salam, among communities, among societies? It's our job as youth to spread Imam Ali alayhi salam, his words, his teachings, his history to the non-Shia, to the non-Muslims. It's our fault as Shia youth if the whole world doesn't admire Imam Ali alayhi salam or truly know his greatness. This is a responsibility that falls on our shoulders. We must challenge the non-Shia and the Muslims regarding Imam Ali alayhi salam. We must spread his wisdom, spread his words, spread his teachings. You want bravery? See Imam Ali alayhi salam in the battlefield. You want leadership? Read his history, read his government. You want mercy and compassion and empathy? Read how he treated people. You want wisdom and eloquence? Open up Nahj al-Balagha. It's our job as youth to spread these words and spread the wisdom of Imam Ali alayhi salam. It's our job to spread the knowledge of Ahlul Bayt, the words of Ahlul Bayt. The Ahlul Bayt have said multiple times, إِنَّ النَّاسِ لَوْ عَلَمُوا مَحَاسِنَ كَلَامِنَا لَاتَّبَعُونَا. If people knew the words of the Imams and Imam Ali alayhi salam, they would follow him. It's that simple. The words of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam have a specific nur, specific beauty and light, where if a non-Shia reads these ahadith with an open mind, he will accept. So now, why are Shia still the minority? Because us Shia youth specifically, have not done our duty and our due diligence. We as Shia youth must spread the words of Ahlul Bayt, spread the greatness of Imam Ali alayhi salam. The Imam says in this hadith to challenge the non-Shia and the non-Muslims regarding Imam Ali alayhi salam. Bring forth a person that has half the virtues Imam Ali alayhi salam has. Bring forth a person that has half the strength and bravery and wisdom and eloquence Imam Ali alayhi salam has. We as youth, we need to step up. We are responsible. We must spread the greatness of Imam Ali alayhi salam. These are two narrations out of many that order us to debate, order us to show people the truth and tell them that what they are upon is misguidance. It's blatantly telling us to debate. Now, we come to the second stage. How do we reconcile these two groups of ahadith? The first group that condemns debating, and the second group that orders us to debate. How do we reconcile these two groups of narrations? We say that the first group of narrations is condemning a certain group of people from debating, and the group of narrations that are ordering people to debate are ordering another group of people to debate. With that, we have solved the contradiction. Those who have read 5 books and they don't know how to debate and they can't control their anger, the Ahlulbayt alayhim salam have condemned them from debating. You are not a person that is worthy of representing this religion. You should not be debating. As for those people that are knowledgeable, they know how to debate, they know how to control their anger, they know the etiquettes of debating, the Ahlulbayt alayhim salam have ordered them to debate. So there is no contradiction. The first group of narration is condemning a certain group of people from debating, and the other group of narrations that are ordering people to debate are ordering another group of people to debate. We see that the companions of Ahlul Bayt also thought of this contradiction between the two groups of narrations. They came and asked Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam, how do we reconcile these two groups of narrations? And the Imam gave the same answer that we provided. روي عن الصادق عليه السلام أنه نهى رجلا عن الكلام وأمر آخر به فقال له بعض أصحابه جعلت فداك نهيت فلانا عن الكلام وأمرت هذا به فقال هذا أبصر بالحجج وأرفق منه. It has been narrated that Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam forbade a man from debating and commanded another to debate. One of his companions said, may I be sacrificed for you. You forbade this person from debating and commanded that one to debate. Again, the same contradiction that we mentioned. The Imams ordered some people to debate and they condemned others from doing so. What does the Imam answer? What is the reconciliation method that we use to reconcile these two historical instances? The Imam says, this one is more knowledgeable about the arguments and is gentler than him. When the Imam orders people to debate, he's ordering those who are knowledgeable, those who have akhlaq. When he is condemning those that don't have knowledge or don't have the akhlaq of debating. Shaykh al-Mufid also expands on this hadith and he says, it has therefore been established that the prohibition of debate was directed at a specific group who did not understand or know the proper ways to debate, and debating would corrupt them. So this specific group of people, the Imam condemned them from debating. On the other hand, the command to debate was given to another group as they understood and knew its methods and could handle it properly. Those who are knowledgeable, they have the akhlaq, and they know how to debate, those people are ordered to debate. Now with that, we have reconciled between the two groups of narrations. The third point, what are the takeaways that we can extract from this outcome and the reconciliation that we reached? First, that debating is a very important and crucial role that most cannot fulfill. Most people should not debate. The Imam himself in the narration that we mentioned places 2 conditions for debating. أبصر بالحجج وأرفق منه. The Imam said, I ordered this person to debate because he is more knowledgeable. So the first condition to debating is that you must be knowledgeable. And he is gentler. If you want to be among the people that the Imam commanded to debate, you must be knowledgeable and you must possess the manners and etiquettes of debating. You have to know how to present a convincing argument in a gentle manner, in a manner that the opposing side becomes willing to accept. Unfortunately, now we see people, in this day and age specifically, we see people who don't possess knowledge, or they possess knowledge, however, they don't have the etiquette and the morals and the akhlaq of debating. They don't know how to present an argument gently with akhlaq. They open up Discord, Instagram Live, TikTok Live, or they set up a booth in Speaker's Corner, and with all the arrogance in the world, they begin debating. And the outcomes of these debates are always, 9 times out of 10, it ends in cursing, cussing, fighting. Both sides didn't convince each other of anything. And the non-Muslim spectators watching these debates are disgusted of the religion of Islam. This is the outcome of those who are not knowledgeable, or they are knowledgeable but they don't know how to present an argument in a gentle manner. When these types of people debate, this is the outcome. Cursing, cussing, fighting, no one is convinced of anything, and the non-Muslim spectators all become disgusted of the religion of Islam. This is one of the wisdoms behind why the Imam condemned these people from debating. You are doing more harm than good. Let's look at a couple of videos of debates that have gone out of hand.
Oh, look at this! Stop, stop, stop. Police, police.
Excuse me, you take your hands off. Hey. Keep holding it. Keep holding it.
I mean, this is disgusting. Again, none of the two sides gained anything. No one was convinced of anything. And the non-Muslims that are spectating these debates have completely changed their view on the religion of Islam. Let's see some of the comments that were on these videos to get a gist of the effect of these types of debates. Debates that are not based in akhlaq and not based in knowledge. Let's look at some of the comments. This is what happens when two parties who are not qualified to debate. These comments are, again, just surface level comments. They get much worse. Bashing the religion, bashing the Prophet, bashing the Ahlulbayt, bashing our holy figures. The unqualified debaters who debate are the cause of these acts, and they will be held accountable on the Day of Judgment for what they did. This is one of the reasons why the Ahlulbayt have condemned these people from debating. But as for those who possess those two qualities, they are knowledgeable and they are kind and gentle in the way that they present the arguments, it's encouraged for them to debate. The hadith we read, which tells us to challenge the non-Shia when it comes to Imam Ali and show people the truth, these hadith are targeted towards people of knowledge, people that are gentle and kind in the way that they present arguments. Alhamdulillah, we are a religion that encourages religious dialogue, encourages debate, encourages reading, researching, asking. We have many sects and religions out there that have this notion of, don't read, don't research, don't debate, don't ask, just believe. But alhamdulillah, Shi'ism is not one of those religions, not one of those sects. Our deen encourages thinking, it encourages reading, it encourages debating. We are confident in our religion and our belief. Challenge people when it comes to Imam Ali alayhi salam. However, who has been ordered to challenge? Who has been ordered to debate and challenge the non-Shia and the non-Muslims? Me, who I've read 4 books and have anger issues? No, a person that is knowledgeable and has akhlaq is urged to challenge the non-Shia and the non-Muslims regarding our faith and our belief in Imam Ali alayhi salam. This is the first takeaway from the reconciliation that we reached. And that is that debating is not for everyone, but rather you must fit a certain criteria for you to be among the people that the Imams have commanded to debate. The second takeaway from this small discussion regarding debate is that we understand how great Hisham ibn al-Hakam was. We saw how dangerous debating is and how critical of a role it is, how strict the criteria are that must be met for you to be commanded to debate. You must possess a lot of knowledge, a lot of akhlaq. What level did this teenager reach where before he even grew any facial hair, the Imams themselves ordered him to debate? Before he entered his 20s, Hisham ibn al-Hakam, the level of knowledge he reached and the level of akhlaq he reached was a level that the Imams themselves ordered him to debate. Look at the greatness of Hisham ibn al-Hakam. This is the standard us youth should hold ourselves to. We have no excuse. Hisham ibn al-Hakam, he's not a ma'soom, he's not infallible, he's not a prophet, he's not an imam, he's an ordinary person. Yet he worked hard and he reached this level before he even grew any facial hair. Alhamdulillah, we have a couple of strands here, but are we anywhere near the level of Hisham ibn al-Hakam? And he reached it in his teens. Look at the level of this man. Join us in the next episode where we will, inshallah, discuss some of the narrations that give us an insight on Hisham ibn al-Hakam, his status and his knowledge. And we will present one of his debates, inshallah, to further understand the knowledge this man reached at a very young age. And then we'll present the final youth personality that we will discuss, who played a role in Islamic history, and then finally discuss the takeaways that we should learn from the multiple youth personalities we have discussed. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.